Hey guys, this is Sandy White from Simply Fit, your number one health and wellness cheerleader and your accountability partner. Make sure that you are signing up for that free 30-minute consultations because we want to make sure that you guys jump into your health and wellness goals where you can meet, exceed, and constantly be consistent in them. We have Tsao Lin Moy on with us again today. We're going to be talking about all things Chinese medicine because we only scratched the surface on the last segment. So, and she's been wonderful enough to agree to come on a couple more times. So, if we're asking questions that you guys are interested in, great. But if we're missing some of those, we need you guys to let us know, okay? Because she is giving us her undivided attention for a couple more sessions, all right? So, and I also want to thank WYTV7 Community Broadcasters Network for allowing us to come on because, guys, everything is not for everybody and it's not a one stop shop. So you got to figure out what works for you. And if we don't expose you guys to all of the things that are working, not these hit or miss, literally working, science backed. Health and wellness sessions and products and not theory. And this is why Tsao Lin Moy is going to be on today just knocking out all of the unnecessary myths about Chinese medicine. But I want to thank WYTV7 because they're allowing us to bring on Tsao Lin Moy and other individuals to provide you guys with knowledge that you may never have gotten or you just simply are not reading. So we want to make sure that we're educating you, empowering you, and encouraging you to live the best quality life that you can possibly live. And this is why we're on a mission to save 1 million lives by encouraging individuals to live a simply fit life through health and nutrition so that they can overcome suicide and depression. And if you don't know all of your options, you're going to think, whatever is in your little bubble is all that there is. But let me tell you, the ocean runs deep. So, with that being said, let's welcome Tsao Lin Moy to the show. How
Thank
are
you.
you?
I'm good. I'm great. I love that this broadcast is really about educating and empowering, and really what you said about things like preventing suicide and the hopelessness that's out there, the loneliness, especially with the pandemic. But even before, I mean, before that, it was already trending. And so I do know that studies show the more you engage in new ideas and experiences, that it actually helps to rewire your brain so that
Yes.
you don't default to the same thoughts and hopelessness, and you reach out and expand, right? And connect to something and some more people and community, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Because just like you had mentioned, I think on one of the other broadcasts, but I'm just going to bring that back to the forefront. People need people, but right now we're in the pandemic, and we don't want them just not being. Well, I may be saying this a little backwards, but the hopelessness. People think that there's no hope, there's no one that loves them, there's nothing when they don't when their record is not scratched. So we want to scratch it, put in new thoughts, but thoughts that are going to get them on the right path. So what I want to do, since we don't have a lot of time, is jump right into your practice is integrative healing arts. So let's quickly, because I want to give them a power punch this session. What's that all about? And like, what are you licensed in?
Okay, so I'm a licensed acupuncturist and also herbalist. I'm also a licensed massage therapist, and I have a lot of other trainings under my belt, such as neurolinguistic programming, right, and other coaching and hypnosis, uh, sports medicine training, and also most recently psychedelic assisted therapy. So
Awesome. Well, oh,
that's a
we
whole
got
new
something in
career.
common. I got my master's in sports management, and I no, you said medicine. Mine is in management.
So sports medicine, acupuncture, so geared towards treating athletes, professional athletes, and so and I have like treated one of the giants, and then like a young Olympic skater, and so it's a little bit different than the average person that comes in. But when I'm treating someone, you're really looking at, and this is really Chinese medicine, is not just like, okay, let me get you back to where you were. Because the point of where you were was like right before you got the injury. And so that was already this kind of direction of, maybe you need to look at how you're working out, and you doing fitness, like sometimes people think, oh yeah, what I was doing was great, and then I pulled my back, right? And you go like, uh, that wasn't great, and we do not want to get you to that same point again because you're going to injure yourself.
Right. We want you better than you were. And that's what
Better,
people,
exactly.
because what
Yeah.
people don't realize, injuries are not, they're not like big blowouts. They're tiny little situations that occur, and then when it happens they think, oh my god, this just happened. No, sweetie pea, you were going downhill a long time and you knew it, because you get this little ache, pain, whatever, and people ignore it. But I don't want to get off course, because
Yeah, right.
I'll be
Okay.
on my little soapbox.
Yes.
Well, go ahead.
No, oh, okay. So that's what I do. I treat people with acupuncture, with herbs, with body work, spiritual work, mindset work, and also I will help them with their energet. Like one of the branches of Chinese medicine is also Feng Shui, which is the art and science of placement. So sometimes, let's say someone is home and they're feeling really depressed, and they have, they'll have a lot of clutter, and things all over. And really, what needs to happen is maybe to move that pile, because that kind of breaks the spell, right? Because every time you look at it, it's like, oh, bad, oh, negative, negative, and then you get into a negative loop.
Right.
And so it's something you need to like shift the environment, even if it means like move the chair over, that will, help to move the energy, the chi, right? And then you feel more invigorated.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And what people don't realize, and I don't know if I heard this from someone, but I noticed it's not like, your house is, a energy dump hole, but there are certain rooms that have more, that you feel more vibrant in. And a lot of times that's what I tell people, go in those areas as much as possible. And is that, can you explain that, when that, in reference to the energy in certain rooms, and how that, a little, because you already touched on it, but how it helps, with the energy, and make the person feel a lot more invigorated.
Oh, absolutely. So we have all heard of things like sick buildings, right? Where people, they go to work and they feel really ill, like they don't feel good, they have more anxiety, they have insomnia. And so the environment, let's say a room, if it doesn't have a window, we already know that's not good, right? Because it's like you can't tell whether it's really night or day, right? Because it affects the pineal gland, right? And so, or that creates an imbalance. There could be, like energetically, we look at their objects that might be in a place that remind you of somebody and bad feelings. There's literally the flow of the airflow. Um, and the more sensitive we are, and we are all sensitive to it, that we can be easily affected by that. So you can, like when you go into a disco, let's say you go into like a nightclub, the energy there is really fast paced and like even frenetic. You go into a place of worship, the energy you feel is slower. I mean, technically it's just a room, right? But the way that it is organized and set up is so that your vibration shifts. So
That's the
rooms that
key word.
have good energy, you feel good energy. Like for instance, like with your bedroom, you want that to be a place of rest. The colors, like colors going to make a difference. You want it to be cooler colors, because when our temperature drops, is we actually sleep deeper. Things like, are there screens in the room? Is there, a exercise machine with clothing hanging off it, or even like one thing I say, don't have a television or a computer screen in the bedroom, right? Because what that is, it's literally like the whole world is in there with you. it's like a funny, like like it needs to be closed or covered or not there. And somehow we know, we sense that. So rooms that you feel really good in, you look around and see like, well, what is it? Like what makes you feel good, makes you happy. And sometimes it's hard to identify, which is the great thing about Feng Shui. It's like kind of invisible until you finally realize, like, wait a second, this is out of place. And you move and you're like, oh, that feels better.
Right.
Just, yeah, like put a plant in a corner. Like if a corner is dark, because corners tend to be dark and they're like a point. So you need to move that energy. So if you have like, if you can shift the angle of a table to be more diagonal so that it allows that kind of movement around. Or you could put something that has life in it, so like a plant or flowers, and then that helps to move that energy. Right.
Yeah, and one of my favorite rooms, is I've got a couple, but when you said what you said, the energy is invisible, but it's our dining room, and we have a long oblong table, so it's it's just constantly flowing around, and then we've got two ginormous windows in it, and so the sun is constantly coming in, and I just love being in there, especially when I write. But let me ask you this. I'm going to jump into this because I think what I was talking about is probably going to lead into somewhat. Maybe I'm off. Why did you create integrative healing arts?
So why did I create it or
Uh-huh.
name it
Why
integrative
why
healing?
did why did you yeah you could tell, but why did you create it and why did you name it that?
Okay, so integrative healing arts is really about the being able to not just like one thing, but really integration is also a term that we use of how to assimilate and to bring that healing in. And so the integrative healing arts is really being able to use all types of and all methods of healing. So I like to help people to integrate their Eastern and West. So I'm not only like, oh, only one way and mine is the only way. That the way that you think about your health from a holistic perspective means that you can take different parts and put them together to create a whole.
Okay.
And so yeah, the integrative healing arts, in Chinese, I have like the Chinese character, it's yang sheng yi shu, which means really like nourishing, the promotion of health through like many arts. So that's what like literally, it's like, what do you do, whatever it takes. It's like that kind of a thing. How do you, whatever it takes. So if because one size doesn't fit all. And that, I think, can be very frustrating when people are trying a diet or an exercise or keto or vegan or something, or that it doesn't always work. And so we're like, well, we need to address food for everybody. Let's say, be conscious of our food, but that doesn't mean we all have to eat the same things. And so that's what being able to integrate. Maybe someone is using functional medicine, they may be using some other pharmaceutical, but that doesn't mean you don't do something else, right?
Right.
You still consciously. So it's really about being conscious with your health.
What works best. Hey guys, we're gonna take a quick break and we're gonna be back with Tsao Lin Moy. And guess what? Because this is the new year, she's gonna talk to us a little bit about Chinese New Year and how it can help you with your health. So we'll be right back and we're gonna jump right into that.
Calling all HBCU alumni, supporters, and golfers. It's that time of year again. Yes, the HBCU Swing Into Their Dreams charity golf tournament on Tuesday, April 5th. If you missed the last one, you have time once again to be epic. Don't miss the golf tournament of the year. The Swing Into Their Dreams HBCU charity golf tournament at the Atlanta National Golf Club in Milton, Georgia, Tuesday, April the 5th. Registration begins now. Sign up your golf teams at swingintothirdreams.com. That's swingintothirdreams.com. Or call 770-686-7148. That's 770-686-7148. Don't miss it.
We are back with Tsao Lin Moy, and we're going to do our last portion of the segment talking about the Chinese New Year. It was featured in the Mind Body Green segment, and she's going to be talking how that can impact and improve your health. So Tsao Lin Moy, I don't know anything about this, so you're going to have to lead, and then I can jump in with my questions based off how you're going to get started on it. So what is all this?
Here we go. All right. So the Chinese zodiac, or we call it astrology, that is actually a branch of Chinese medicine. And it is based on there are 12 animals that represent the zodiac, and it's based on a 12-year cycle. So that means every 12 years your zodiac sign comes up, right? And then with each time it comes up, it's related to an element. So 5 elements: the wood, the fire, the earth, the metal, the water. That's a whole, and just so you know that those elements represent planets, and there are acupuncture points that also are, because they're elemental points, those are represented as planets. So looking at Chinese medicine, we can see that the constellations on the sky, we also have them as maps on our body in the form of meridians, right? So it's another perspective of looking at it. So this year is the year of the tiger, just started yesterday, and it's the element is water. So looking at what do we have for 2022 is we've got the water element, which is yin, but also it's something that's transmutable, right? It can be a mist, it can be a liquid, it can be a solid. And so the theme for the year, so I'll be really brief about it. It's the article is in Mind Body Green, but what we would look at is to be like water, to go with the flow. You do not want to fight the currents. Like, instead of like battle, let's see how we can use that energy to move us to where we need to go. Now, the tiger is more of a yang sign, right? So very energetic, ferocious, courageous, and that energy is also can be very impetuous, right? Taking control, they're waiting to leap in, and they can, very straightforward. They get focused on their target. Once they've got their teeth into it, there's no turning back, right? And so for an example, we always hear about, like a tiger mom. Like, one of the things that maybe behind every successful man and woman is really a tiger mom, right? And that's like, and I think all moms have that tiger energy. They'll do whatever it takes, to help their children to be successful. And so for this year, we have to be careful not to like jump into things really quickly, to really like take our time, test the water out, right? Before you make a big decision. And also not exhaust yourself, right? With like too many things, because all of that energy and taking on leadership and courage can actually be very exhausting and drain the adrenals. And the water element is related to the bladder and the kidney, which is considered like your essence. So we have to be careful, right, with with what we're doing, and that's that part of like going with the flow, like some with a flow, and allowing, like, taking advantage of that energy to move us to calmer waters.
So I'm going to ask you 2 questions, because
Sure.
that was outstanding, telling us what the year is, which is the year of the tiger, and it's to be like water, to flow, to test it out. Now, my first question is, this is general. This is everyone is supposed to, because I'm my birthday is in April, so I'm not a tiger. So this is general. That's the first question for everybody to take that advice. And then the second one is this commonology where most Oriental individuals believe.
So about 2 billion people celebrate Chinese, or the lunar, we call it the lunar year, the New Year, or the Spring Festival, the Chinese New Year. And so I would say yes, to the depth of how seriously they take it. A lot of its cultural traditions is, that really will depend. So most countries in Asia have the Zodiac. So, but how they celebrate may be a little different, right? So so one of the Zodiac signs is the rabbit or the lunar hare, and let's say in Vietnam it's represented by a cat. But the idea of the 12, the cycles of 12, have to do with the orbit of Jupiter around the sun, which is 11.8 years. So it's like there's a much deeper aspect and study to astrology. Now, what I was saying about the tiger, that's kind of like for everyone, the energy of the year, but individually, you don't have to tell me what year you're born, but for instance, like I'm born the year of the dragon. So I'd have to look at my, my zodiac and how that is going to interplay with these energies that are around. So we're looking at like overall general energy, right? And so also the year that you might be born would have been under one of the other elements, like wood or fire. So if you were a fire dragon, then in the year of a tiger and water, you're looking at, okay, fire, water, tiger, dragon. Okay, tiger and a dragon are both very young. So you're like, oh, it's going to be a very young for that year, that energy. And so maybe focus on more, balancing with things that are yin. Does that make sense?
I'm
Kind of,
kind of
sort of.
getting it. Yeah, because I just want to, I want people to understand how to relate it to how it's going to help them with their wellness. And so far, when you said to be like water, you want to flow. I mean, there's times when the water is rapid and it's aggressive, but then it's taxing on your body.
Correct.
So you kind of want to weigh those out so that you don't go flat like a tide. You want to be balanced
Exactly.
and
So that's going to apply for everyone, is to be mindful that those are the energies that are influencing us this year.
okay.
And that's very general. For individuals, then you get a little, I don't want to say granular, but a little more specific to them, because they have certain characteristics and personality, let's say personality traits, that will lead them to do certain things, and especially around health, right? Um, so I can actually share the link to a quiz that I made about the
Okay.
Zodiac, and also the article.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think people will love that.
okay, let me do this. This is the article. I'll put it in the chat for you. Okay, so this is the article on the Mind Body Green article, and the
And
one.
then we can share that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's www.mindbodygreen.com article, and then then you put in Chinese. I think it's hyphen zodiac dash sign dash 2022 forecast, and then you can get that information that Tsao Lin Moy just provided to us. I got another one for you. So, what's a good starting place for people to get, to if they are interested in implementing alternative medicine that's associated to Chinese medicine? If they want to implement those into their life and they're new, but like you said, everything is not for everybody, because what people need to realize is they're being health and wellness is not a one-stop shop. Sometimes you need to take a little, like you just said, a little bit from each different elements that work for you, and that's why you need a strategic plan of action. But what's a good starting place for people to
Excellent. Okay, so one of the things that I would say is to start to understand the principles of, and really very basic is the idea of balance of yin and yang, right? So in Chinese medicine, this is a Taoist philosophy, right? There is the idea of yin and yang, not yin or yang, and it's a kind of duality that is intertwined and dynamic. So there, for the day there is the night, right? And then even, and all of the in between. And so when applying that to health, we're looking at that as a way of balance. For the very basics, I would recommend a book that's called The Web That Has No Weaver. It's a pretty old book. It was around when I first went to graduate school, but it's for the person who is the lay person interested, right? Just interested in learning a little bit about it. And hopefully they're going to be watching your show, and we can touch upon topics to get people started on their way, what part interests them. And really using those principles, you can use them like integratively. The principles doesn't mean you have to change to eat tofu all the time, or but the concept is, you're looking at, let's say, maybe it's not like soy, but maybe it's another plant protein, right? So the idea around that is really eating more healthy foods and more plant-based. So you can think like, oh, that's the principle, apply it in another way, right?
So let me give them real quick. You have a quiz that they can take. You
Right.
have it's you want to tell them or you want me to tell them?
Sure. It's the HTTPS, the semicolon double backslash integrative healing arts dot involve dot me, and then there's a backslash 2022 dash Chinese dash Zodiac.
You guys take that quiz, and Tsao Lin, tell them how they can reach you, because we're down to our last 3 minutes, and I want to
Absolutely. Okay, the best way to reach me is you can reach me on Instagram, and my Instagram is Integrative Healing Arts NYC. And then I also, my website, www.integrativehealingarts.com.
So I'm going to close us out real quick, and then you'll have maybe like 30 to 60 seconds to give them your final thoughts. You're coming back, so you don't have to rush, guys, because we didn't even talk about half the stuff that she is knowledgeable about. But I'm your host, Sandy White from Simply Fit, your number one health and wellness cheerleader. We broadcast every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. And we're asking Tsao Lin Moy to come back next month. But right now, she's going to close us out with her final thoughts on where you guys can just rock and roll, or what you want to share with the audience until you come back next month.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you very much for having me on. And so for the audience, what I want to, and maybe a little bit of a challenge, is to do a little bit of research about yin and yang. Also to look at that we're coming in we've just started the new moon. This is really a new year. You get to restart, right? So January 1st was one new year. And this is an opportunity, if you didn't start your exercise program, or you're, shifting your diet and healthy habits that you're looking for, that this is, you still have time and you can start now.
All right, guys, you heard her. Get started, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.